The team continues to show strong signs of progress improvement game by game. A first half with good football but little efficiency in front of goal, and a second half with a rock and roll style, as Ancelotti says, with Vinicius on the pitch. Note that the referee showed 3 yellow cards to the team for simple protests. A bit excessive, I would say.
What did you think of today's match?
Well, I thought it was a good match. We started well, we reacted well after Espanyol's goal. In general, we played a complete match. We played very well with a much better rhythm. And we created many chances to score, so I'm satisfied.
You showed annoyance with your own players because when they protest to the referees, they usually get yellow cards. Is this an issue that you need to discuss with your players again?
I think that so far this season, we've been given 3 very harsh yellow cards for protesting. I think the referees' approach has changed and they've become very strict in this regard, and we'll have to get used to it.
How are Bellingham, who injured his groin in the first half, and Carvajal, who left the field after the goal?
Carvajal had some discomfort, but it's a result of a knock and there's nothing serious about it. Bellingham had a groin problem and the assistants resolved it well, and he was able to play the rest of the match without any problems. We'll see how his groin is tomorrow, but I don't think it's anything particularly important.
How did you see the match after facing a rival team that was very defensive, something very common at the Bernabeu? Your team played very well in the first 30 minutes and finished the match very well. What adjustments did you make during the week? What do you think of your team?
Well, the adjustments we made were to play faster and attack, touching the ball with more speed. We made better movements and covered the areas of the field better. If we don't have a striker with a fixed position where Kylian is, but in the second goal, Rodrygo entered the area fantastically. Bellingham also entered the area a lot. I think the mobility of the players is a very important weapon. Then the third goal was also spectacular with a fantastic counterattack. These are resources we have to keep. Today we had many shots on goal, and we have to be satisfied with that. Defensively, the recovery of the ball was very good. I know we have to try to recover the ball by pressing after losing possession, and we did that well today. So we finished the match with a good dynamic of play, and we are gradually returning to our best level.
Is Bellingham's pain a lingering issue from last season? Do you think this could be something that bothers Bellingham throughout the season?
He always played with a shoulder guard, but for a month he's been without it because he was feeling good without it. But it seems like he might have this problem again. But as I said before, he was able to finish the match. He never asked to be substituted, and he played almost the entire match practically. So I think this won't be a problem. Obviously, he's going to have to take care of himself a bit, but I think he'll be available to play in the next match.
The Bernabeu crowd likes to see their team win and see the rock and roll style more than just passing the ball around. Do you think that's what we saw in the second half?
Yes, but I also think that in the first half we had to pass the ball around a lot because the opponent was very closed and we had to pass it around a bit more. But even so, we did it well. We tried to combine play inside. Some plays worked out well for us, and we tried to score. In the second half, when the game was more open, it benefited us. So yes, this was a rock and roll game.
Congratulations on reaching 38 games unbeaten so far. This is a very interesting statistic. Your team controlled the game very well during the first half. Perhaps it was the best first half so far this season. but the rock and roll didn't start until you conceded a goal.
This season, there's another statistic, and that is that we've only scored a goal in the first half of the match once. This is a very striking fact, and we discussed it with the players today before the match to see if we could change this dynamic, although it wasn't possible this time, but we played a first half with a lot of intensity, unlike previous matches. The fact of the 38 games unbeaten is a very good fact and confirms that the team did very well, is doing very well, and will continue to do very well.
Last season, a year ago, you said that perhaps you were being unfair to Brahim. Don't you think you're being unfair to Endrick since he hasn't played more than 10 minutes in a match? Don't you think he could play a bit more?
It depends on the point of view. From a certain point of view, it could be unfair because he's training very well, he's professional and has a lot of quality. But on the other hand, it can be unfair because there's also Rodrygo, Mbappe, and Vinicius. So I think it's necessary for him to have more patience.
Is Tchouameni an irreplaceable player as a central defender or as a defensive midfielder?
I think Tchouameni is a fantastic defensive midfielder who adapts very well to playing as a central defender because he has the required structure as well as the ability to read situations well. But for me, he is a fantastic defensive midfielder.
Don't you think that when Modric has continuity, playing more, he maintains a better level instead of coming on as a substitute in games that are already resolved?
Obviously, any player who plays more minutes is much closer to reaching optimal condition than the rest. This is something very normal. Luka is a guaranteed player for me. It doesn't matter if he plays from the first minute or if he comes on in the 70th minute. He has changed the dynamics of the match many times when he comes on. He always plays at his maximum level in every match, and in every minute he plays on the field.
Can we assume that today's 4-4-2 system or formation is what we will see from now on for the rest of the season?
Well, the system was all sub 4-3-3. But as I said before, adapting it a bit at the start because the opponent made many clearances. Espanyol usually starts with 3 central defenders. And we decided to press them with Arda on the right wing, Mbappé in the center, and Rodrygo on the left wing. Then Bellingham's position changed a bit, but when we played without the ball, the formation was 4-3-3. Goodbye.